In this video we're going to be looking at Cognex's In-Sight Explorer software, and specifically we're going to be looking at how we save images from a camera, how we can sort those images into good and bad folders, how we can save jobs from a camera, and how we can back up a camera completely. Now this is an important thing to do, especially if we're going to be getting remote support from another engineer. The first thing we ever want in those scenarios is images and job files. So I've got In-Sight Explorer open here. As you can see, I've got an In-Sight 7600 connected. I'm going to double click on that, and then that connects to the camera. I've just set up a little dummy program. So if I just get rid of the spreadsheet, so we can see happy faces are passes and sad faces are failures. Now notice that my camera's online. Now it's important that we can do everything we're going to be doing now, we can do with the camera online, so we don't need to interrupt production at all for this. So how do I save images? So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to come up to record and playback options, which is this folder icon with the record and play symbols in it. I'm going to click on that. I'm going to make sure I'm on the record tab. I'm then going to click on this little button with the three dots. That's my browse button. I click on that. I'm going to browse to my desktop, and I'm going to make a new folder. I'm going to call this folder My Images, and I'm going to make sure it's highlighted, and I'm going to click OK. So now you can see that the folder that I'm going in is my new My Images folder. Now each image that's saved off is going to start with the word image. It's then going to have an index on it. Alternatively, we could choose to put a date timestamp on it if we wanted to. So for instance, if we were only going to save failed images, it might be nice, we're going to leave this recording overnight for instance, it might be nice to know at what time those failures occurred. So we can use that for that. We're going to use bitmap files. Now JPEGs are a compression, so if you're planning on re-inspecting them, I recommend that you choose the bitmap option. If you're doing long line scan images for instance, or you're working on the 5 megapixel or the 12 megapixel camera, then it's probably worth doing that in JPEG unless you need very accurate detail, just because of the file size. So I've selected bitmap. I'm going to come down and I'm going to say the maximum number of images I want to save is 20, and I'm going to leave my image resolution to full. Now if we're just going to look at these ourselves, then we could lower that resolution to save on space. If we're planning on re-inspecting them, then it's important that we leave that set to full. And from there I'm then just going to click OK. I can then come up to my record button just next to my record and playback options, and I can click that and you can see it starts flashing. Now if I go navigate to my desktop, I've now got my Images folder, and I open that up. We can see those images are starting to populate in there. So that's going to do that until we reach a total of 20 images, and then it's going to stop. If we want to stop it before that, then I can just hit the record button again. So that's my images saved off, and I can reuse those at a later time. If I want to sort those images, I can go into record and playback options again, make sure I'm on the record tab, and rather than using this top option over here under watch cell sort, which is do not sort them, we've got three more options. One is that all I want to do is pick images that have passed and I want to put them into a good folder. Or I can look at a value and say if that's a failure, or if it's a 0 or an error, I want to put them in the bad folder. So if for instance we just want to capture all the failures, again maybe on the night shift we're going to leave this recording failure only, then we'd choose that option. But for me, I want both passes and failed recorded, but I want them in their own folders, so I'm selecting this bottom option. The next thing I need to do is tell it which cell to watch to decide whether it's good or bad. So I'm going to do select cell, and I'm going to scroll down until I find where my result is on my job file here, and you can see result 1 or 0 depending on whether it's a pass or a fail. So I'm going to double click on that, that enters that in there, D29, and I am ready to start recording. So I'm going to click OK, and I'm going to hit the record button again. Now you can see that in my folder, these were my original images, but I've now got a good and a bad folder. If I go into the good folder, I can see happy smiley faces. If I go into the bad folder, I can see only the sad faces. Coming back to In-Sight Explorer, that will now continue again until it's saved 20 images. Once it's saved 20 images, it's going to give me a pop-up, and there's the pop-up. So I can just OK that, and it's automatically stopped recording. So I've got my 20 images, and they're now separated into good and bad. I now need to look at getting the job file off of the camera. Now, a job file is only one part of what goes to make up my camera, but if that's the only thing I'm interested in for this particular application, then I can just copy off my job file. If you haven't already got it up, if you go to View and In-Sight Files, then this pane here comes up, the In-Sight Files pane, and you can see that there's several files on there, including various jobs that I've got saved, some images there, the last inspected image. I've got also things like host.net and my prop.set folder. Prop.set holds everything about the camera. It holds the I/O specification, the IP address, all that kind of thing. So in this case, I might just want to go to my file that my job file that I'm running currently, which is the Don't Worry Be Happy, and I can see that if I look along the title bar here, Don't Worry Be Happy.job. I can right click on that and I can say copy. I can go to my folder and I can just paste that, and I'm ready to go. If I want to take more than one job, or it's a good idea anyway, in my experience, whenever I arrive on site, the first thing I do is take a backup of the cameras. That gives me a get out of jail free card. Anything that happens over the course of the day, you're the last one that touched it, you can always revert back to an old backup. So to do that, I'm going to go to the System menu, I'm going to go to Backup, I'm going to select my In-Sight 7600 camera. If I've got multiple cameras on the network, I can select them all, or the ones that I want to back up, back them all up, all in one go. I'm going to click on the button with the 3 dots, that's my browse button. I'm going to select, where are we, desktop, my images, and I'm going to click OK, and then I'm going to click backup. The camera then backs up everything, basically everything you see in In-Sight Files. If I open up my folder, I've got another folder in there with In-Sight 7600 and the rest of the numbers that go to make up the camera's name. .000. In-Sight Explorer does incremental backup, so if once I finish for the day, I then do another backup of the camera, that will be the same folder name except .001. Double click on that folder, open it up, you can see I've got all of the files that we saw on the In-Sight Files. That would allow me to take a brand new camera out of the box and do a restore from this backup, effectively turning it into my old camera. Old IP address, old I/O settings, all the job files that it needed are all stored in that backup. So that is how to save off images, how to sort them into goods and bads, saving images and saving a whole backup from a camera. Check out our other videos where we'll talk about how to load those images and job files into an emulator so that we can work on it remotely. At this point on site, disconnect your laptop, you head off to the canteen, get yourself a coffee, and you can sit down with those images and job files in a comfortable, quiet environment to be able to do some work on them. If you found this video useful, then please hit like and subscribe.